drink, madam. And how often, Samuel, have you seen me drink liquor? Woman, take it and do as you are told. They're all like that. They just fuss and blow off their tempers, and then one may sit on them. But why does it worry you so much, Rebecca? It's not to Shabbat to be converted, God forbid, that Yossi is going. Oh, Samuel. Mother, I can take care of myself by now. You needn't worry. And as for me marrying a Gentile, you have nothing to worry about there either. Haven't I known Leah for 3 years already? You may as well begin preparing the list of wedding invitations. Rebecca, now that you are crying, you are not only hard-headed, but also silly, simply silly, long of hair, short of sense, to cry and know not wherefore. Have you ever seen such a crybaby as my dear Rebecca? 5 times in her life she filled the world with a hue and cry when she bore me a child, and every time it was but an empty bubble. 5 girls she brought me. Then, beginning with the 6th birth, she was fortunate enough to get boys, the real thing. 3 sons she gave me as my old age was approaching. And now, when she ought to thank heaven for being worthy to raise a soldier for the army, she cries, "Think of it, your son Yossi enters the army a free man, but I, in my time, was taken by force when I was a mere youngster." Samuel, did they really do things like that? What a question! Leah, of course they did. I know we have heard all kinds of stories about the catchers in those days, but you say stories? 10 years of my life it was. Tell me, Father, I know it has been many years, but do you still remember some of the things that happened to you in those days? Samuel, you asked me whether I remember anything. Why, I see it all as if it had happened yesterday. Samuel, dearest, for example, I remember that my brother Solomon... Samuel, have you forgotten your promise? Children, there are certain things about those days which many years ago your father and I decided are best forgotten. Rebecca, I have been thinking quite a bit lately about our promise to each other. Of course, while the children were really little, it was necessary to protect them from ideas which could influence them in harmful ways. But now that Yossi already is a grown man, and it is time to start looking for a wife for Moshe, it seems to me there is much that children can learn from hearing about the difficult times we went through in those days. In those days long ago, yes, those were the times. Each season, each moment dared us to live it well, and life was a painting done in the strongest colors. It's all different nowadays. New times, new people. It's all make-believe. In those days, you were a part of a world strange to my own. And you, with a new friend, I needed so much to find. In those days, you were the temptation of the devil, wild and beautiful. And you were there to listen, always kind. But the best thing about those days, those wonderful times, those golden years, was that one day we found each other, and together we shed happiness and tears. In those days, you taught me to love someone they said was forbidden, and you warmed the heart of winter. You made the springtime. In those days, when I turned from boy to man. And you taught me what is despair, for you would not be mine. But the best thing about those days, those wonderful times, those golden years, was that one day we found each other, and together we shared happiness and tears. I remember that my older brother Solomon became a bar mitzvah around that time. Then there was Dovidel, another brother, younger than Solomon but older than myself. He had just died, so I must have been 10 years old. I remember a Saturday night, right after the death of Dovidel, and within the period of the 30 days mourning, Mother would not be consoled. As she put it, Dovidel had been her very best. So you see how it is. Mother a crybaby, and now Rebecca, another crybaby. Oy baboy. Father was absolutely right. Women were created out of tears, no doubt about it. And men, for sure, they were created out of vodka. Well, at least finally she stopped crying. Woman, have a drink. Ah, you could sit here and tell your stories, but somebody has to prepare dinner. You're sure you don't want to drink, woman? Let her be, Samuel. Go on with your story. But first of all, aside from Dovidel and yourself, how many brothers were there? Originally, I had 3 brothers. The firstborn, Simcha, may he rest in peace, had been married long before. He was a junior shochet in town and a candidate for the rabbinate. But Solomon was more learned in the Torah, young though he was. Peace be unto him. Well, they are now both in the world of truth, in the world to come, both of them. As to myself, why deny it? I was a dullard, a lover of animals. I even had a dog, which I raised on the sly near my father's house. Somehow my soul was just not right for the Torah. Well, around that time, the mothers began to worry. There were rumors all over that a catcher was coming to town. According to some, he already had arrived.